Hey guys, today we are going to talk about if gear really matters or not. But first, let's go to the studio. So this is where it all started. This is the studio space I've been working from for 8 years before moving to Vienna. It's like a time capsule here because nobody else works here, because this room is at my parents' place, so everything is exactly the way I left it. This room is where I opened my first DAW. This room is where I recorded my first artist. This room is where I mixed my first song, mastered my first song, so you might understand how much this room means to me. And it's been great. I loved working here for almost every second of it. But you might also see that this room is not perfect. And with not perfect, I mean it's far from perfect. It's actually horrible for everything music related, besides maybe songwriting or like the first production session of a song. And now I'm gonna show you why. Okay, so I'm gonna do a basic studio tour just to show you what we were working with. You might see there is foam everywhere, and that right there is like a couch that we turned around for better acoustics, and it actually helped. As you might have fallen for it, I fell for it too. This is like some really expensive foam from... And they basically scammed my ass because every YouTuber, and especially because every YouTuber tells you, and you would buy stuff from that company I just mentioned, they will of course double down and tell you that this stuff is really good for studios because it's acoustic foam. And I bought, I think for like 10 years ago, 800 euros. I bought like a pack of these, and you can see they're like everywhere here. I bought them because I thought this is the stuff to buy for your studio to make it sound good, to properly acoustically treat the room. And if you know about acoustics, you know that that's absolutely not true. This stuff treats some high frequencies, but everything else is basically untouched. And the frequency response and the room mode, I think it's called in English, is horrible here. So not possible to mix anything basically without checking a few thousand times on different listening environments. We also have the bass traps, which are also some foam pieces of shit. So that's the first big thing. Shit acoustic treatment, or basically no acoustic treatment. Then we have some monitors which were like great if you just start out. They are way too big for this room, and especially with the acoustic treatment, the bass is like everything you hear. We are now in the basement and you can hear the bass in the second floor. So yeah, we also don't have treatment on the ceiling. As an interface, we worked with an Audient ID 14. And that was a great interface, don't get me wrong. I would still work with it if we had it in the studio and if I would be able to do some certain loopback stuff. But I gave it to my brother, but also not the best you could have when mixing. But yeah, we did music like that. We had a laptop, we had an Audient ID 14, we had the Yamaha HS8s, and we had a shit room to work from. We also had the Audio-Technica AT40Xs, which I still use, and the DT770 Pro, like the basic bitch headphones, which are great for recording. That's everything we had. And it's not nothing, but also it's not a lot. And don't get me wrong, I started with a cheap-ass laptop. This was like the intermediate phase right before I moved to Vienna. So this was for like 7 years, and the first year I literally just had a laptop. But somehow I still made the most successful songs I've ever worked on here with the equipment you saw, with the state this room was in, because it was never really better. We got countless millions of plays. Regarding Muso AI, I'm, I think, at the top 2% of mix engineers worldwide. We did get the artist I worked with the most intensely signed to a really good label, and the major labels were fighting over him. We did really important calls with like really high tier music industry professionals in Austria and Germany. And yeah, all of that was here, with the equipment we had here, with the shit acoustics. So when starting out, and when you have the drive and the willpower to make it happen, no matter how inconvenient it is, you can absolutely make music in these environments, or even worse environments. And everybody who tells you otherwise has no idea. You could build a great music career using the phone I am recording this video on right now. You can absolutely do that. Somebody who tells you that gear matters, even when starting out, has no idea what he's talking about. But there's always a but. You might notice that I'm not working from this room anymore. And I haven't for quite a while. And in the end of working in this room, I was really struggling. And the reason for that was because I was limited by the room, by the acoustics, and I wasn't able to hear what I'm doing. We just learned to compensate and work around it. We checked the different environments. We tried every angle of this room regarding where the best recording position is. We had some blankets over our heads sometimes we didn't, sometimes we switched microphones and lots of other different little things I can't even remember anymore. I was able to work around the room resonances with like the microphone and do some like 12-13 dB cuts just so the vocals sounded something along the lines of normal. But I was so tired of doing that, working against the room, working against my equipment. And I noticed that I needed a change. I needed to upgrade, but upgrading in this room was not really a viable option because I was also trying to get out of Vorarlberg and move to Vienna, which I did. And now I'm at a great studio with great equipment, with great acoustics. But the thing is, when I moved to Vienna, I had to basically relearn mixing. Not the fundamentals, not the effects and plugins and stuff like that, but how something should sound. And it was a huge struggle for the first few months. I had to learn that I don't have to play the mind games with myself anymore and try to fix stuff that isn't there and doesn't need some fixing. And that set me back like a lot of months. But also now my stuff sounds better than ever. I don't have to double, triple, quadruple check stuff that much anymore. The recordings I do are of a different level of quality, like completely with the same gear actually. And the way I can work on music in the most efficient way possible is such a game changer for me. And this also comes down to plugins or, for example, the preamps we have at the studio. If you don't have the possibility to use those things, your workflow might suffer. But it completely is a workflow thing, at least for me. Yes, I could still, if I had the time to get to know the room again and its flaws, mix a great song here or produce it or master it, I guess. But first of all, not at the level I can do it in Vienna. And second of all, not at the efficiency and timely manner as I could do it in Vienna. So you can basically compensate for everything. This was also a discussion like a few weeks ago, I think, on YouTube by somebody telling you that preamps don't matter. Of course, you can compensate for everything, but if you compensate everything, it will not sound good. Somewhere along the lines you have to grow and you have to invest. And if you don't, you will always stay at the place you are. If gear didn't matter, we would still be mixing on our phones with shit microphones, with shit audio interfaces, without any acoustic treatment, and with studio monitors you get from a dollar store. So what does that mean for all of us? In my honest opinion, I feel like you can start doing stuff with the equipment you have, with the already half-dead laptop you have at your disposal, with AirPods, with anything you have, really. But if you want to do this for a living and do it sustainably, you might want to invest in your craft. It's the same thing as a chef. A chef could do his work with like consumer grade pans or ovens. But if you want to serve a lot of people and want to earn money from it, then you might notice that consumer grade stuff or stuff that isn't intended to be used in the way you intend might be inefficient as hell, and using commercial stuff built for that purpose or stuff that fits your workflow better, I don't know, better oven mitts, that's a really bad example, might actually make you a better chef. And I feel like it's the same thing with studio equipment or gear. At the same time, if you give outboard gear to a beginner who doesn't know what the hell he's doing, his song is gonna sound like shit, and the one of the professional who uses stock plugins in an untreated room will 100% sound better. So it's about who uses the gear, but it's also about how much you can do with the gear and what fits your workflow. I would always start to get as good as I can, and then when I hit a ceiling, I will try to invest. And that is like the exact same thing I did and I'm doing right now. Sometime in the future, I might need something for my workflow and then I will try to invest. But before that, I have no reason to. Gear definitely doesn't replace taste, but it gets rid of certain limitations. It's the same thing with this room. This room helped me get started, helped me get to a semi-professional level. And when the time came, I was able to move out from here and move to a studio which fit my needs better. And that is why gear matters. So I feel like the message of this video is gear does matter when you need it. When you don't, just use what you have, and then it really doesn't. It's been an absolute privilege for me to work in the studio in Vienna. It's something that has benefited me like greatly, and I'm really, really thankful for the artists and also the fans of the artists who supported me along this journey by listening to the music and working with me. I wouldn't be able to do it without them, and without them I would still be stuck here, and I'm forever grateful that I am not. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day and take care.